Hey people, and welcome to episode 13 of The Flash entitled Masquerade. So this episode stars with Chester Peasy in the Heezy, who's basically been, altering the lab to his own specifications. He painted the walls, he has, he's got that funky music playing, he's got, black heroes all over the place. Kate looking at him like he crazy, but he's trying to get himself comfortable, with being like the new Cisco at Star Labs. He actually goes, and then it's funny because he goes into another room because he's looking for some tech. And then when he goes into the room to find the tech, he bumps into Barry and Iris, and Iris kind of Iris ran out and did the run of shame. And then Barry got up, fixed his clothes, like, hey, Chester. And then that was awkward. And it's funny because the two of them, they bees getting it on, all over Star Labs. And it's weird because if your husband is the Flash and he could literally run you anywhere on the planet, why would you choose to do the nasty on a random floor in a Star Labs tech room? I thought that was very odd, but they're trying to send the message to us, the audience, that by the end of the season, the two of them will get pregnant and Iris will have a baby. So now the Cecile portion of it, because remember in the last episode, Cecile was trying to find the the entity that was trying to take over her mind and her body. We find out that this person actually did take over her body and is walking around, pretending to be Cecile. And the whole reason why they're pretending to be Cecile is because they're trying to acquire something. They showed the actual Cecile basically trapped in a room in a mind prison, cowering in fear. And whoever this entity is, which I thought would have been cool if it was Dr. Fate, but it's not. But this entity basically took over her mind and her body, and it's pretending to be Cecile. But the entity needs something in order for its powers to grow stronger. So it does this whole thing where the entity did this whole thing where it used its power along with Cecile's power, and it brain blasted Barry and knocked him out. So Barry's laid out on the table, and they got the Grodd thing hooked up to him, because remember when Barry went through this last season, they had the Grodd machine hooked up to him, and they were trying to figure out what was wrong with him. And then Chester was just like, oh, I know what's wrong, he's trapped in a mind prison, and so we got to get him out, or we got to he even said Cecile kind of, but not Cecile, kind of pushed him in the direction. He was just like, oh, we could use Cecile's power to amplify and go in there, you go into the mind prison and pull Barry out. But then not Cecile was just like, well, yeah, but I'm not that powerful. I would need more power in order for that to happen. And then they were trying to find out where they can get more power from. And Chester came up with the idea of using the mask from, I don't know what this person was called, the Mind Pirate. That's what they called him. It was one of the villains on Cisco's card sheet. It was basically the guy with the gold mask who was trapped in Arkham during the Elseworlds crossover, who was predicting the crossover and the end of the world. That person, I guess, the guy that wore that mask is locked up in prison, but the mask that person was wearing, the Mind Pirate mask, was was on display at a museum. The mask apparently has an evil force trapped inside it, and that evil force is trying to get out. But in order for that force to truly get out, it needs a host and it needs its mask. During I was about to say the Enlightenment. During the situation where Barry and Iris rebirthed the Speed Force, the mask used that moment where Cecile got blasted and flew 13 feet back. And we all thought that was a result of, the lightning in the sky or whatever. It wasn't the lightning in the sky. It was basically the mask, incorporating itself into Cecile and taking over Cecile's body. So that was the moment where Cecile basically turned, so now we're trying to figure out how to get her back. But because we're trying to save Barry, Chester had brought up the mask, and he said that if we get the mask and give the mask to Cecile, Cecile can amplify her power, then she can go into the mind, into the mind machine, and she can save Barry. But they were just like, well, it's at a museum, and we would have to break into it in order to get the mask, and we don't know anybody capable of doing that, which brought back good old Sue Dearborn. Sue Dearborn, she came back, because she's like the Black Widow of the Arrowverse, and she said Ralph was on another assignment, but she said that I'll definitely go in and help you guys steal the mask. And then Cecile ended up going too, because Chester was just like, you should go too, because he was like, your power can sense the mask, and you need to be there in close proximity, whatever. So Sue and Cecile, they go in there, they get the mask, and then once not Cecile gets her hands on the mask, She puts the mask on, and then she's like, haha, fools, I've tricked you all. And then she was like, I now have the power of the brain, and then she blasts Sue Dearborn, made Sue shoot herself in the neck, and then she was out, and then she was just like, I am now going to take over the world. And, and because of that, it then, and then like Chester got upset because he was just like, damn, he was like, I fell for it. Because like the mind pirate even said, she was just like, oh, all I wanted was this mask, and that fool Chester P led me right to it. So now Chester is feeling used and abused, and now the mind pirate is basically gonna like, conduct their evil plan to try to like take over the world and everybody in it. In the mind prison, Barry was in there, and he was since he's connected to to the mind pirate, he's also connected to Cecile. So Barry goes inside the mind prison. He sees Cecile in there. She's talking to Cecile. Him and Cecile are having a conversation. Cecile was just like, oh my God, I can't believe somebody else is here. He was just like, yeah, it's really me. But Barry doesn't have his powers in whatever realm that they were in. And then it goes into a little Cecile's backstory where she talked about a moment where like, she was scared, and then she thought, she didn't have the strength. And then like, she lost her mom because she said that she ended up doing something else and she chose not to see her mom. And that was the last time she saw her mom. And because of that, like there was always like this fear that was in her. And the mind pirate was preying on her fear, and he was just like, oh, it's because, it's because of you never saw your mother again, you're a failure. And he basically just like preyed on her weakness and her emotion. Barry tried to talk her through it, tried to walk her through it, but the fear was too strong and she was having difficulty trying to break through. And then the mind pirate at some point, because Barry gave Cecile the speech about, like you're strong and you can do anything and blah, blah, blah. And then when the Flash Hope speech started kicking in, then the mind pirate showed up and blasted Barry again to keep him out of the mix. And then, he tried, and then, I keep saying he, but it looked like Cecile, so we'll just say she. So then, she then tried to like, talk down to Cecile. She was just like, remember, you're nothing. I'm going to bond with you, and then you and I would be together forever, blah, blah, blah. And but then after that, the entity, the mind pirate, now that it had the mask, it needed something to make the connection stronger, because it's like, I'm already attached to Cecile. I've got my mask, so my power is stronger, but I need something to fuse us so I can keep Cecile trapped for all eternity. And then it decided Chester was one that brought it up, because he was just like, yo, there's something downstairs that, that the mind pirate will want, which is basically the thinker's chair. That's the only thing that can be used to amplify its power enough to bond with Cecile, like at all. And then, they were just like, well, we need to come up with a plan. And then Sue was just like, yeah, but if we're going to come up with a plan, make sure it ain't Chester, because Chester be fucking up. And then Chester kind of like felt bad. He walked out of the room. Iris gave him the speech, like the Flash speech about how you're an important member of the team and we need Chester P. And then, he was just like, yo, I didn't come to Star Labs to replace Cisco. I came here to work with Cisco. He was like, yo, I don't even know y'all like that. He was like, but that's why I failed, because I'm not a full-fledged Team Flash member. And then Iris was like, yo, bro, enough with she was just like, yo, damn the pity party. She's like, anybody got time for this? She's like, my husband's mind trapped. She's like, get your black ass up and let's do something about it. So then Chester comes up with a plan. He was just like, all right. He's like, I know what to do in order to get her out of the mind prison. They were trying to cause a distraction, but by then, like the mind pirate was already in the chair. It was already in the thinker's. And Cecile looked cool wearing the all black with the gold mask sitting in the chair. I was just like, that girl. I was like, if that girl goes full-fledged villain, we might have something on our hands here. But then inside Cecile's mind, Cecile was going back and forth with the mind pirate. And then the mind pirate was just like, I have you, Cecile, like you're mine, and I will bond with you forever. And then at that point, Cecile started thinking about what Barry said, started thinking about like her old situation with her mom and her life. And then she's just like, oh, I hid this part of me. I let the fear control me, but no more, like Cecile broke free. She was just like, I'm free of your evil power. And then she was just like, I want you to get out of my mind. And then like she brain blasted, the mind pirate blasted him clear out of her consciousness, and I guess knocked him back into the mask where he belonged. And then after she knocked him back into the mask, then Barry immediately woke up, and then Barry grabbed Cecile, went through the portal, and they exited the mind prison, and then both of them woke up. After that, Chester came out of nowhere. He came jumping from the back, and then, he had a sword in his hand. He was just like, ah, and then like he stabbed the sword into the thinker's chair, blew up the thinker's chair, and kind of roasted the connection, kind of roasted the mind pirate. So it fully severed the connection. And then Cecile woke up, and then she was like, oh my God, I don't know what happened. So that was it. And that's how they saved Cecile and saved the day. I guess they put the mask back into the museum when when all that was said and done. And then after that, they told Chester, everybody thanked Chester, and they were just like, like you're an important member of the team. Don't you ever forget that. And then Iris even said, she was just like, your voice is important. Make sure you use it. And he was just like, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So he was just like, the next time y'all want to do the dirty, y'all want to do the dirty deed over all my equipment, it's just like kind of like speed yourself somewhere else. And then, they embarrassingly was just like, all right, cool. And then Cecile decided to go home to go talk to her husband, who hasn't seen her all day since she went full blown villain. And she told Joe what happened, and then Joe was just like, you should have told me. And then they reconciled. And then Joe told her, he was like, when he was because remember, he's still investigating the detective cop chick. I forgot her damn name. Shoot, he's still investigating that chick, to try to find out like what her real deal is. And Joe found out that she was on a military mission where she said this in a previous episode. She said that she trusted a meta, and the meta turned on her and she lost her whole platoon. Joe didn't bring up the meta part. He just brought up the part about her leading a platoon of people into something, and everybody died except for her. So Joe thinks that she was evil and she's working for the enemy. From the story that she said earlier on in the season, she said that she trusted a meta and the meta turned on her. So is she the meta? Was she working with a meta? Is the meta that she's working for going to come up? We'll have to wait and see. And I'm not going to lie, that's a little interesting, and I kind of want to see where that goes. So we're approaching episode 15, 16, which I think, again, is going to be the return of Nora West Allen and Bart Allen as well. So like I said, that Iris pregnancy announcement is coming very soon. And the whole thing about Cisco is just like the boys in Star Labs. They even said at the end of the episode, they were just like, oh, I'll just take a quick trip to Star City to go see Cisco so he can make a device that can trap the mask and can contain its power. And I'm just like, if Cisco's in the next town and if y'all can go visit him, and it's not like we're no longer mentioning him. We're still bringing him up because he's in the next town. And if we're still bringing Cisco up because he's in the next town, then it's like, I made a whole big deal out of him leaving for nothing. But that's say la vie. So that was it. And thank you for tuning in. In the next episode, it's going to be an Allegra. It's going to be like a Team Citizen Allegra centered episode. So that'll be cool because I forgot her cousin is still out there, Esperanzo, who's out there trying to kill people. And I'm like, yeah, we never actually brought her to justice. So we can close the chapter on that next week as well, and we'll see what happens because Barry's conveniently not going to be around in that episode. So that was it. It's, like I said, thank you for tuning in. Check me out on Twitter, check me out on Instagram, check me out on YouTube, where you can leave your comments about all the superhero stuff. We got Superman and Lois, Batwoman's getting real good, and we still got Legends of Tomorrow, and we're still waiting for the return of Supergirl and Titans, which comes in August. Still got the Loki for all you Marvel fans, so we're going to keep riding the wave of superhero glory. Thank you for tuning in, guys. So for the Flash and for the Speed Force and for Chester P. Party people, take care. And I'm out this bitch.